Is the VeChain price about to surge? In this video, we're going to dive down into the technical analysis on VeChain, specifically talking about the price action of the VETS token. As we get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Right, with all that said, done out of the way, let's actually dive down into this chart and take a look at what's going on here with VeChain. So we're just going to quickly park ourselves here on the weekly. Just to kind of talk through the overall structure of everything very briefly. So we can see that basically our weekly chart is comprised of 5 impulse waves to the upside. And this is all looking very, very tidy. It's a very neat example over where we are going, which basically based on the trends of wave 2, wave 3 and wave 4, we can see VeChain moving up to $1.20. Okay, this is the optimized kind of model here, looking at the trends on the performance of the bull run so far. This $1.20 is a nice area, and again, should be an area that I think most seasoned traders and experienced hodlers should be kind of looking at. Of course, we do have more conservative targets also coming in at $1.01 for any potential newbies who want to exit out of the space and don't want to be carrying their bags into the bear market and don't want to be open to exposed risk. Basically, a $1 VET token would actually be a 630% move from the current position, with our $1.20 actually just taking us above that to about 777%. So again, pretty good moves to be had here. As we can see that each of these impulsive waves to the upside are comprised of waves within themselves. We can see that ultimately nothing moves up in straight lines, and we can see that very neat example of a potential 5 impulse waves within our 5th wave in itself. Okay, so everything from this weekly chart and the standpoint here is actually looking very, very good. It's a very neat example of these 5 impulsive waves to the upside, and everything's actually pretty much on track to see that $1 or $1.20 VET come in. Now, obviously, from March 2020 through to April actually of 2021, we have seen VeChain grow 18,295%. Those particular gains are very significant. We take a look at Bitcoin, for example, for the same time period, it was only 1,600%. Ethereum, 5,000%. Cardano, 14,000%. Obviously, VeChain has also been outperformed by other altcoins as well. We take a look at Anchor, for example, at 34,000%. Matic is at a whopping 52,000%. So we do have to acknowledge that although 18,000 is very significant, is much better than many of these other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, even Cardano, it is obviously not as hasn't been as good as a performer as something like Matic or Anchor. With this being said, though, it's a very good performer for the portfolio, and we are still expecting some significant gains to be made in the near future. By the time we get to the end of this bull run, we should hopefully have seen a $1 VET or a $1.20 VET by the end of the bull run. So very good to kind of see this thing kind of progress occur here for VeChain. So let's jump down into our daily, and obviously here we can talk about what's been going on most recently. Here we do have that more conservative Fibonacci based on the high of 3 and the low of 4, right? So basically not taking into consideration the earlier impulsive move from the low of 2 all the way up to the high of 3. Okay, so this is a conservative one, just looking at the pullback in isolation. This pullback from where Bitcoin was at 65k and it pulled down to 28k shows us moving up to $1.01 with VeChain here. Okay, and again, that is the conservative model that I think anyone who's new to the space might want to consider, so that they miss out on trying to time the market perfectly at the top. Ultimately, everything's looking pretty good from his perspective, right? We obviously did have that cup and handle that I believe has now been invalidated. It's taken too long to get there, but the cup and handle did actually target out 22.1 cent. This again, we can see that we are in our stochastic overbought, and again, looking overbought here isn't a problem when we have been up in an overbought area for quite some time during this run. So entering this area again isn't too problematic, but we can see a nice rally here pushing to the upside since the lows that we were in late September. Again, we are looking to progress nicely to the upside. We are finding resistance right now. This actually comes on that 382 area at 13.9 cent. Now, of course, we are overbought on this daily chart, but that's not a problem as we jump down into the smaller time frames. And I'm going to go through what they look like in a moment. Obviously, on this journey to the upside, the main area that we really want to be focusing in on is getting our candles above 19.3. That would be the 618 area. Obviously, this is the main battle. As you can see, there's loads loads of consolidation around this area of 19.3 cent, moving up into 21.2 and 23.1. Once we actually get a closed candle above 23.1 cent, that's actually going to be a big bull signal that takes us into new all-time highs and price discovery. Obviously, for Vechain here, it has lagged behind things like Bitcoin. And many of these other altcoins actually setting new all-time highs. This is not unusual. Money rolls around the market. It doesn't all just flow in at once. Basically, money will flow into Bitcoin, then it might flow into Ethereum, then it might flow into something like XRP or ADA. And money will just roll around chasing green candles. And it hasn't actually rolled into Vechain just yet. With that being said, I do think that that time is about to change. And I think this because if we jump over to the advice.io dashboard, and for those who are unfamiliar, links in the description below, advice.io use artificial intelligence and machine learning to help us understand the underlying value of cryptocurrencies. And here for Vechain, we can see that we have an A2 rating. Now, with this A2 rating, it hasn't actually changed overall in the last 24 hours, but there are some things that the underlying data that have shifted and changed in the last few days. And as we come down here, we can see the fear and greed index is an A2. This basically has moved from a fearful area that Vechain was in just a few days ago up to an extremely greedy area. Again, that 𝗕𝗢𝗔𝗡 ratio is now an A2, which means the liquidity-based problems that Vechain was experiencing have now been resolved, meaning that buying and selling a Vechain has just become easier. So again, when we take a look at that 𝗕𝗢𝗔𝗡 ratio that was creating huge problems for many of these altcoins in the space have now been resolved, and as a result of that, we could potentially start seeing a nice surge with the Vechain price. As we come on down here, we have a Sharpe ratio. The Sharpe ratio is an A2 rating, and again, we can see this thing moving steadily to the upside in the last few days. The Sharpe ratio is your risk-reward ratio, okay, and the risk-reward ratio right now from this artificial intelligence and machine learning is indicating that the rewards outweigh the risk, and therefore we might want some exposure to Vechain. Now, that's just been saying this pretty much since late September, okay, that you might want that exposure to Vechain. Basically, we were below the 50-day average, and then we started to really move up nicely. Now, obviously, during the same time, we were heavily in the fearful area. Loads of sentiment was basically to sell Vechain rather than to buy it. And as a result of that, you were able to pick up Vechain at a discounted rate. Now, we were actually up in that extremely greedy area. Again, we got a nice spike with our Sharpe ratio, indicating that, again, these things are very much in sync. As we come on down here, we have the moving averages and A2 rating. Again, these are looking very, very good. So overall, no problems there. And as I said, with the profitability in A1, the best score that this platform can give, obviously, it's incredibly profitable, more profitable than Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, okay, but not as profitable as things like, Harmony One, Anchor, 𝗕𝗪𝗡, for example. Okay, so it's right up there in the kind of the middle range, and again, I do anticipate more gains to be made here with Vechain as well. Overall, there's no problems with the underlying data, but it has shifted and changed in terms of the liquidity, and again, the Sharpe ratio and the fear and greed index ratio. Everything here is actually looking quite bullish, and actually is going to be indicating that we're going to start seeing some more money actually flowing into Vechain from other projects, or potentially new money coming into the market as a whole. Overall, I think Vechain's very well positioned right now to actually start swallowing up some of that additional cash and pushing the needle to the upside in a really significant way. So as we jump down into our hourly view with a bit of an understanding as to what's going on in the background, knowing that our daily chart's looking pretty progressive, and again taking a look at our lowered stochastic RSI on our hourly, it looks like we are ready to see a pretty big surge to the Vechain price in the next couple of days. This could be targeting out 15.2 cent as we continue to take out some of these resistance lines. Okay, nothing moves in straight lines, but we are obviously aware that we have one impulse waves or wave two. We're looking for this third. We'll have a pullback for our fourth, and then we'll continue that surge to the upside. So overall, on this hourly chart, everything's looking pretty good. I'm not sure there's any kind of bigger kind of play here, but we have to see there is a big surge to the upside here, looking at these 5 impulsive waves that it looks like we are setting ahead of moving up nicely to the upside overall. Now, on this this hourly chart, I think it's quite easy to see that there are, of course, pretty good impulsive waves to the upside. Now, obviously, inside all of these would be multiple different waves in themselves. An ABC correction wave in here, for example, showing us that wave 2 is an ABC, allowing us to then grow again into this wave 3 with its own 5 impulse waves to the upside as well. Again, where these things land is going to be the guess, but ultimately everything's looking pretty good in line with our kind of support and resistance lines. I'm taking a look at 15.2. I think that's going to be a sensible area to really be targeting expecting in this next leg to the upside overall. Obviously, from there, we should expect a pullback before moving on and surging up towards the next areas. Again, we are really heavily targeting out 19.3 cent as we continue the growth to the upside to take out those key areas on the chart. Overall, everything is looking very, very good. Again, if we are ever in doubt, we zoom out. We pay attention to the weekly chart. The weekly chart is the cheat sheet. It allows us to see the structure without actually having to worry about all the micro movements on those hourly charts or daily charts. The structure on here is very, very neat. It shows you where we're heading towards the end of the bull run, and it kind of means that you don't have to worry about all the noise that you see on the daily or the hourly chart. Ultimately, you adhere to this and you should be pretty good. Don't have to check your charts, or you don't have to check your portfolio every 5 minutes. Basically, you can be rest assured until we get closer and heated up into new all-time highs that everything is pretty much on track. Obviously, pay attention to what's going on. Any deviations on our weekly chart should be noticeable after a few weeks. And again, when we actually take a look at the daily, it also becomes very apparent that we might be deviating away. But it's good to see that everything here is actually very much on track. We are heading up to $1.20 on our optimized model, and I think a $1 nice conservative price target should be achieved hopefully by the end of the year as well. Guys, I'm going to leave the video there. If you have found it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.